What if I told you the careful, cautious shuffle most seniors use to stay safe is actually one of the main mechanical reasons they fall, and there's one specific walking change that fixes it? No equipment, no gym, just a single adjustment to how your foot contacts the ground. Something you can start on your very next walk. I'm going to show you the real mechanics behind why falls happen, why the shuffle is working against you, and exactly what to change. Let's get into it. So let's start with what's actually happening when someone falls. Not the, oh, they just lost their balance explanation. The real mechanical picture. Because once you see it, the fix makes complete sense. When you walk, your foot has to clear the ground with every single step. Sounds obvious. But the margin for error is smaller than most people realize. At the lowest point in the stride, the average person's foot clears the ground by about an inch, sometimes less. That's it. 1 inch between a normal step and a trip. Now here's what changes as we get older. The muscles responsible for lifting your foot, the hip flexors, the tibialis anterior, well, actually, let me just say it plainly. The muscle along the front of your lower leg, the one that pulls your toes up when you take a step, that muscle weakens. And without you realizing it, your stride starts to shorten. Steps get smaller. Feet start to slide forward instead of lifting and landing cleanly. That's the shuffle gait. And this is where most people have it completely backwards. Seniors who've had a close call, a stumble, a near fall, even just a moment of feeling unsteady, they almost always respond the same way. Slower steps, feet closer to the ground, shuffling forward carefully. It feels like the safe thing to do, like control. Here's the problem with that logic. A shuffling foot has almost no clearance at all. It catches on the edge of a rug. It snags on a slightly raised threshold. It slides on a smooth floor at exactly the wrong moment. And because the shuffle also comes with a narrower stance, when something does go wrong, there's almost no recovery window. You're down before your body has time to react. I see this all the time. Someone starts shuffling after a close call because it feels more controlled. Then within months, they've had an actual fall on completely flat ground, a rug in the hallway, a bathroom threshold, surfaces they'd walked over 1,000 times without thinking. The shuffle didn't protect them. It set them up. What does the data actually say? Because the numbers here are worth sitting with for a second. According to the CDC, more than 1 in 4 adults over 65 falls every year. That's 14 million people. In 2021, falls killed over 38,000 older adults, which works out to roughly 100 people dying every single day. Every single day. And pay attention to this. Falling once doubles your chances of falling again. Not just because of physical injury, though that's sometimes part of it, but because of the fear response that follows. The protective shuffle, the narrowing down of daily movement, which leads to weaker muscles, which leads to the next fall. It's a cycle, and it usually starts long before anyone realizes there's a problem. So with that in mind, let's talk about the one change that breaks that cycle. The change is called heel-to-toe walking, and before you think, I already do that, stay with me, because most people don't, not anymore, not consistently. Put simply, each step starts with your heel making contact with the ground first. Then your weight rolls forward through the arch of your foot. Then you push off from your toes to drive the next step. Heel, roll, toe. That's it. Sounds like the most natural thing in the world. And it is, or it was. It's exactly how the human body was designed to move. What nobody tells you is that this pattern quietly disappears over the years. Tight ankles, stiff hips, a little bit of nerve sensitivity loss in the feet, and without realizing it, you stop landing heel first. You start landing flat, and then you start shuffling. Okay, why does restoring this one pattern make such a difference for fall risk? 3 reasons, and they all connect back to what we talked about earlier. First, foot clearance. Remember that 1-inch margin? To strike heel first, you have to actually lift your foot. That lift is automatic when the gait pattern is correct. It's the difference between your foot clearing a slightly raised threshold and catching on it. Second, base of support. A proper heel strike lands slightly ahead of your center of gravity. That positioning gives your body more room to correct if something unexpected happens. A slick patch, an uneven surface, a dog running across your path. The shuffle gives you almost none of that recovery room. Third, and this is the part most people miss, it re-engages the muscle chain. Heel-to-toe walking fires the calves, the hip flexors, the glutes in sequence. That full chain activation is what keeps you upright. The shuffle bypasses most of it. Now, I want to say this is a simple fix. And in terms of what you actually do, it is simple to describe. But I'll be straight with you. Doing it consistently after years of a shortened stride takes a little practice. Your nervous system has settled into a pattern. Retraining it means being deliberate about it, at least for a while. Conscious practice before it becomes automatic again. The good news, the research on what this kind of focused movement does to fall risk is genuinely encouraging. There was a major review, 116 randomized controlled trials, over 25,000 participants, and it found that balance and functional exercises reduced the rate of falls by 24%. Nearly 1 in 4 falls prevented just by changing how the body moves. And for people who committed to more consistent practice, 3 or more hours a week, the reduction jumped to 42%. Cut your risk nearly in half, just from changing how your foot lands. So what does the practice actually look like? Start with your next walk. Doesn't matter how long, doesn't matter how fast. Just one thing to focus on, heel first. Every step, you're thinking about that initial contact point, not the ball of your foot, not a flat landing, the heel. Let it touch down first, then let your weight roll forward naturally through the arch and feel the push off from your toes at the back end of the step. At first, it's going to feel deliberate, maybe even a little exaggerated. That's fine. That's actually the point. You're reintroducing a movement pattern your nervous system has been quietly phasing out, and conscious repetition is how you bring it back. Start by slowing down slightly on the first few walks, just while you're building the feel for it. You're not going slower because you're less capable. You're going slower because you're paying attention to something most people never think about. There's a difference. The other thing, and this one surprises people, is where your eyes go. Look ahead, not down at your feet. When you look down, your posture shifts forward, your chin drops, your weight moves over your toes, and that's the exact position that takes away your recovery room if something goes wrong. Eyes forward, chin level, shoulders back. Let the heel strike happen under you, not in front of you. And then there's step length. Remember what we said about the shuffle. Short steps, narrow stance, minimal lift. The correction here isn't dramatic. You're not striding like you're late for a flight. You're just adding a little length, a little lift, a little more ground contact on the heel end. That's all it takes to change the mechanics completely. This brings me to something I want you to really sit with for a second, because I talk to a lot of people who hear this kind of information and think, okay, I'll get to that. I'll start being more deliberate about it. Maybe next week, when things slow down a bit, and I understand that. But I want you to think about where that decision leads. 5 years from now, 10 years from now, the people who ignored the early warning signs, the occasional stumble, the shuffle that crept in without them noticing, a lot of them aren't doing the things they used to do. Someone who hiked on weekends, someone who got down on the floor to play with their grandkids and back up again without thinking about it, someone who walked to the farmer's market on a Saturday morning and carried bags home. Those aren't dramatic losses, they happen quietly, one small restriction at a time, until the life you were living has shrunk down to the life you're allowed to live. I've seen it happen, and they almost all say the same thing. I wish someone had told me sooner. You're watching this video. Someone is telling you now. The good news, and I mean this, is that the window to act on this is wide open. The nervous system responds to training at any age. The muscles respond. The gait pattern responds. This isn't about reversing aging. It's about refusing to let a correctable habit quietly take things from you that you're not ready to give up. You know what's causing most falls now, and you know what to do about it. The shuffle gait feels protective. It isn't. It reduces foot clearance, so your feet catch instead of clear. It narrows your stance, so when something goes wrong, there's no room to recover. And it bypasses the muscle chain, so your body's natural braking system never activates. Safe feeling, actively dangerous. The fix is heel-to-toe walking. That one pattern restores everything the shuffle takes away. 3 cues to take with you on your next walk. Heel first, eyes forward, slightly longer steps than feels natural right now. That's your whole checklist. And consistency is what actually moves the needle. Not perfection, not a program. The research showed 42% fall reduction from people walking with intention 3 hours a week. That's 25 minutes, 6 days. Just walking with your head in it. That's the whole prescription. You don't need equipment, you need your next walk. And the one after that. Pay attention to how your foot lands. That's it. That's the whole thing. Now look, if this was useful to you, please share it. Not for the algorithm. Because there are people in your life, a parent, a spouse, a friend who's had a stumble or two and brushed it off, who need to hear this. The earlier someone catches this, the better the outcome. Every time. If you haven't subscribed yet, do that. A lot more of this kind of practical, mechanical content is coming. Take care of yourself, and take care of your stride.